George sat under the cherry blossoms, clutching a small gift box, the confession he'd been planning for months. He had been her loyal friend, her shoulder to cry on, her safe guy. But when he finally told her how he felt, she smiled and said she was engaged to someone else. The world around him seemed to stop. The laughter, the blossoms, all turned to silence. Later that night, rain poured as he drove aimlessly, heartbroken and blind to the tears in his eyes. A blinding light, screeching tires. Then nothing. When George opened his eyes again, he was back in his dorm. His phone showed the date, one day before his confession. This time, he wasn't going to be the fool. All right, universe, I get it. You gave me a second chance and I'm going to use it. George stared at his reflection in the dorm mirror, same face, same 19-year-old college student, but a different soul now. He knew exactly what would happen today. She'd accidentally forget her notes and ask him to bring them. He'd rush across campus like a fool, smiling like an idiot. She'd thank him with that sweet smile, the one that made him think he had a chance. But not this time. When she texted, "Hey George," kissing face with closed eyes, "I forgot my econ binder again. Could you?" He typed back one word. "Busy." Her typing bubble appeared, then vanished. He smirked. The feeling of freedom was intoxicating. Instead of running errands for her, George headed straight to the library. Laptop open, fingers flying. He began jotting down everything he remembered from his first life. Trends, stocks, tech ideas, app concepts that would blow up in the next few years. While she was out flirting with her soon-to-be fiancé, George was sketching the blueprint of his future empire. No more being the backup plan. This time I'm becoming the main character. That night, as he coded his first website, a notification popped up. Message from Lily read, "You okay? You seem different lately." He smiled, leaned back, and whispered to himself, "You have no idea." George's dorm room looked like chaos. Energy drink cans, open laptops, and a whiteboard filled with scribbles that looked like madness to anyone else. But to him, it was the beginning of greatness. He wasn't just studying economics anymore, he was using it. His mind raced with memories of his past life, which stocks skyrocketed, which apps went viral, which crypto coins exploded. While everyone else partied, George was typing lines of code and sending emails to small suppliers overseas. He built a website that sold affordable, trendy tech accessories, years before they became mainstream. His roommate, Ben, blinked in confusion. "Bro, are you running a business from our dorm?" "Trying to," George said, grinning. "No, actually, I'm building an empire." Within a week, his site made its first $500. By the end of the month, it hit $3,000. And when Lily texted him again, "Hey, haven't seen you much lately," pleading face, George just replied, "Been busy building something important." She sent a flirty selfie. He didn't reply. That night, as his laptop screen glowed and the number of orders climbed higher and higher, George couldn't help but laugh softly. In my last life, I was chasing her. In this one, money chases me. Lily strutted into class the next morning, expecting the usual sight, George waving, saving her a seat, eyes lighting up when she smiled. But this time, he didn't even look at her. He was leaning back in his chair, laptop open, glasses on, completely absorbed in his screen. A faint smirk played on his lips as he checked his sales dashboard, $12,000 in revenue. Lily blinked. "Hey, George," she said, forcing her usual cute tone. "Oh, hey," he didn't look up. Her smile twitched. That wasn't supposed to happen. During lunch, she sat beside him again. "You've been so distant lately. Did I do something?" "Nah," he said casually, sipping his coffee. Just realized I was wasting time. Her jaw dropped slightly. George, had never spoken like that. That night, she checked his Instagram. The once quiet, invisible guy now had photos with a slick laptop setup, people in the comments asking about his startup, and even a few girls reacting with heart emojis. Lily frowned. "Since when does he get attention?" she muttered. Meanwhile, George was on a late-night call with a manufacturer. "Yeah, I'll increase the order volume. We're scaling up." He hung up, stretched, and smirked. Funny how confidence changes everything. The next day, Lily wore her prettiest outfit. For the first time in years, she was trying to catch his attention. But George, he just walked right past her with his earbuds in, humming to himself. It started small, a few students whispering about that guy in the business department, who made thousands from his dorm. Then came the interviews. The local university magazine called him the dormpreneur. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know George. At the cafeteria, strangers waved. In lectures, people asked for advice. Even professors started treating him differently. Meanwhile, Lily watched from across the room, disbelief written all over her face. The same boy she once kept on hold was now surrounded by people, laughing, confident, shining. Her best friend leaned in. "Isn't that your George?" "He's not my anything," Lily snapped too quickly. But when she went home that night, she scrolled through his page again. His new photo showed him in a clean button-up, eyes sharp, captioned, "Focus on building, not chasing." 1,200 likes. And a comment from a pretty girl. Motivating as always, smiling face with heart eyes. Lily's stomach twisted. Later that week, George gave a short talk at a campus business event. His calm confidence filled the hall. "Don't wait for people to see your worth," he said. "Show it through what you create." The crowd applauded. From the back row, Lily clutched her notebook, heart racing. For the first time ever, she felt nervous around him. That night, she sent him a text. "Hey, proud of you," smiling face with smiling eyes. He saw it. He didn't reply. Instead, he smiled at his glowing screen and whispered, "Now you know how it feels." It was late afternoon, the golden hour spilling through the classroom windows. George was packing up his laptop after a meeting when Lily approached, her usual confidence gone. "George, wait," she said, breathless. He turned, calm as ever. "Yeah." She fiddled with her hair, biting her lip, a move she used to make when she wanted his attention. "You've really changed lately. You're amazing. I feel like I barely know you anymore." George chuckled lightly. "That's because the old me doesn't exist anymore." Her heart stung. "I kinda miss him." "You mean the guy who ran around doing everything for you while you dated someone else?" She froze. He slung his backpack over his shoulder. "Don't worry, Lily. You won't have to miss him. He's gone for good." He walked past her, the same hallway where, in his past life, he had confessed his love and gotten crushed. But this time, she was the one left standing there, speechless. Later that night, George sat at his desk, laughter bubbling up as he thought about what just happened. She really tried to flip it, unreal. Ben peeked over from his bed. "Wait, did she confess to you?" "Kinda," George said with a smirk. "But I'm not done yet. I've got bigger plans." He wasn't lying, his company was scaling. Investors were showing interest, and his app idea was nearly ready for launch. Romance could wait. Revenge, though, that was right on schedule. As he turned off the light, George whispered into the dark, "This time, Lily, you'll be the one chasing me." By mid-semester, George had officially become the name on campus. His startup hit national student networks, his mentorship videos were going viral, and his app, TrendSnap, was catching fire. Everywhere he went, people greeted him. Girls whispered. Guys wanted to be him. Even professors asked him to guest speak in their entrepreneurship classes. And then there was Lily watching from the sidelines, her smile a little too tight, her laughter a little too forced. In her last life, she was the queen bee, beautiful, adored, and always in control. But now, the throne had shifted. The new king didn't even look in her direction. At lunch, her friends teased. Lily, you and George used to be close, right? Maybe he can help us get into his network. She forced a laugh. We're not that close anymore. Inside, her heart burned. One day, she walked into the campus cafe and froze. George was there, surrounded by a small crowd of business students, casually explaining stock trends on a napkin while two girls giggled beside him. She walked over, smiling sweetly. George, you're so hard to catch these days. He looked up briefly, then smiled politely. Hey, Lily, sorry, just discussing something important. The way he said it, so effortlessly dismissive, made her chest tighten. Later that night, she posted a story of herself all dressed up with the caption, "Sometimes people forget who the real main character is." Winking face. George saw it while coding. He laughed. Still trying to compete, huh? Meanwhile, TrendSnap hit its first 100K users. He popped open a soda, grinning at the graph climbing upward. While she's posting selfies, I'm building a legacy. And for the first time, he truly meant it. The annual campus gala, a night of flashing lights, champagne glasses, and whispered gossip. Last year, George had stood in a corner, invisible, watching Lily dance with her boyfriend. But this time, he arrived in a tailored black suit, confidence radiating like a halo. Students turned heads. Whoa, that's George. No way, the startup guy. Even the dean shook his hand. Young man, your business acumen is inspiring. Keep it up. Lily, standing near the buffet, froze mid-sip when she saw him walk in. The crowd seemed to part for him, girls smiling, people calling his name. He wasn't the quiet backup anymore. He was the center of gravity. Her best friend whispered, "He looks incredible." Lily forced a laugh. "He's fine, I guess." But her eyes followed him anyway. Later that evening, as soft jazz played, George found himself on the balcony overlooking the city lights. He didn't need attention, he already had peace. That's when Lily approached. "You've changed so much, George." "You keep saying that," he replied. "But maybe I was always like this, you just never looked close enough." Her smile faltered. "I made mistakes, okay? I didn't see what was right in front of me." He met her gaze, calm, steady, unreadable. "That's the thing about chances, Lily. You don't always get a second one." She tried to touch his arm, but he stepped back politely. "Enjoy the party." And he walked away, leaving her standing there under the golden lights, clutching her wine glass as tears threatened to spill. Back inside, George was laughing with new friends, the music upbeat and warm. This time, he wasn't the heartbroken boy in the corner. He was the legend everyone admired. Funny, he thought, watching the night unfold. The higher I climb, the smaller her world gets. Lily's life looked perfect from the outside, the pretty photos, the fancy boyfriend, the smiles at every party. But behind that gloss, things were falling apart. Her boyfriend, Ryan, the same man she'd chosen over George, had started to change. He was distant, moody, flirting with others openly. When she confronted him, he just scoffed. "You're too clingy, Lily. Maybe focus on yourself for once." The words hit like a slap. Once she was the girl everyone adored. Now, even the man she'd chosen didn't care. Meanwhile, George's name was everywhere. TrendSnap was featured in national tech blogs. News headlines read, "Student startup surpasses $1 million valuation." And the comments under his posts, filled with praise, admiration, and envy. She tried to ignore it, she really did. But every time she scrolled, there he was, smiling, glowing, unstoppable. At lunch one day, her friend said, "Did you see George's interview? He's meeting investors in Dubai next month." Lily's fork froze midair. Dubai? Yeah, can you believe it? He's like famous now. That night she sat in her room, scrolling through old photos, ones where George was right beside her, always smiling, always helping. Back then she'd thought he'd always be there. But now, he was a world away, and she was stuck in a life built on appearances. Her phone buzzed. Ryan again. "Don't wait up tonight, got a business dinner." No apology, no affection. Just another lie. Lily stared at the ceiling, tears stinging her eyes. How did I lose everything? Meanwhile, across the city, George raised a glass with his team, celebrating another milestone. To second chances, he said with a grin. And to never wasting them again. The soft hum of conversation filled the hotel ballroom, a major entrepreneurship summit packed with investors, CEOs, and top students. George stood at the center of it all, now the youngest speaker on stage, dressed in a charcoal suit that radiated quiet power. As he presented his story, from dorm room to dream, the audience hung on every word. His charm, confidence, and humility made him magnetic. When he ended with, "I stopped chasing people and started chasing purpose," the crowd erupted in applause. But among the cheering audience, one pair of eyes shimmered with something else, regret. Lily. She hadn't come to see him. She was there by accident, attending the summit with her company's team. But the moment she heard his voice echo through the speakers, her heart sank. After the talk, attendees swarmed George. Reporters wanted quotes, students wanted photos. And she stood there frozen, watching him laugh and shake hands, a man completely out of her reach. When their eyes finally met across the crowd, it was like time froze again. He gave her a calm, polite smile, not bitter, not warm, just distant. After the event, she worked up her courage and approached him. "George, hi." "Lily," he said, nodding politely. "Been a while." She tried to laugh. "You were incredible up there. I'm really proud of you." He smiled faintly. "Thanks, you look busy. How's life?" Her throat tightened. "Not as good as yours," she admitted softly. "You really made it." George shrugged casually. "Just doing what I should have done all along, betting on myself." She wanted to say, "I miss you." She wanted to say, "I was wrong." But before she could, his assistant called. "George, the investors are waiting." He nodded, offered a handshake. "Take care of yourself, Lily." And just like that, he was gone again. She stood in the lobby long after he'd left, staring at the elevator doors, her reflection faint in the golden glass. "You really did outgrow me," she whispered. Weeks passed, and Lily's carefully curated life began to crumble. Her company's newest project failed spectacularly. Her boyfriend, Ryan, had publicly embarrassed her at a client dinner. Even her friends started drifting away, tired of her desperate attempts to cling to status. Meanwhile, George's empire continued to soar. Trendsnap partnered with major tech firms. His dorm room startup had become a national sensation, and he had investors lining up just to work with him. One evening, Lily scrolled through her feed and froze. George had posted a celebratory video from his penthouse office. From 0 to 1 million users, and we're just getting started. No chasing, just winning. Comments flooded in. Legend. Goals. How do we get a mentor like him? Her chest tightened. She had spent years trying to climb social ladders, chasing fleeting moments, and now he was the one leading the world, and she was left behind. The next day, she received an unexpected email. From George at Trendsnap.com. Subject: Job Inquiry. She blinked, opened it. Hello, Lily. If you'd like, we have an opening in marketing. Best, George. Her hands trembled. This wasn't a flirt. This wasn't a confession. This was him giving her a chance. But not for her heart. For her skills. For the first time, she realized something painful. He had grown beyond her. That night, she sat in her apartment, surrounded by reminders of her mistakes, and whispered to herself, I wanted him to chase me, but he never will again. Lily stood outside Trendsnap's headquarters, the glass building towering above her like a reminder of everything she had lost. Her hands shook as she clutched her resume, heart pounding. Inside, George was reviewing quarterly reports, a calm smile on his face. He wasn't angry, he wasn't bitter, he was simply successful. When his assistant whispered, Lily's here for the marketing position, he raised an eyebrow. Send her in. Lily entered, knees weak. George, I know I messed up before, I was foolish. I'd like a chance to work with you, please. George leaned back, folding his hands, studying her. Lily, do you understand why this is ironic? Yes, I do. I hurt you. I was wrong, but I can contribute. I can help your company grow. He smiled faintly, not maliciously, just composed. This isn't about forgiveness. This isn't about second chances in love. It's about business. You want in, then prove yourself, work hard, deliver results. That's your path here. Her lips trembled. I can do that. Good, you'll start Monday. And one more thing. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Don't expect me to chase you ever again. Lily nodded, swallowing her pride. For the first time, she understood the difference between obsession and respect. She wasn't here to win him back. She was here to rebuild herself, under the guidance of the one person who had outgrown her mistakes. George turned back to his laptop, sipping his coffee. Now let's see what you've got. And for the first time in years, Lily felt a mix of fear, humility, and hope. The first week was brutal. Lily worked late nights, juggling marketing campaigns, client calls, and George's high expectations. Every mistake reminded her of the past, the girl who had once taken his loyalty for granted. George observed quietly, occasionally offering guidance. Focus on results, not drama. She learned fast. She stayed organized, thought strategically, and began contributing ideas that even George had to admit were brilliant. By the end of the month, the marketing campaign she led went viral, bringing a surge of users to Trendsnap. Her colleagues, once skeptical, started respecting her. One late night, George walked by her desk sipping his coffee. Not bad, Lily. You've improved. She smiled, not for praise but for herself. Thanks, George, I'm learning. For the first time, she understood that respect couldn't be demanded. It had to be earned. And George, he quietly observed, pleased not because she was finally humble, but because she had chosen the hard path of growth instead of clinging to him. That evening, as the office lights dimmed, Lily sent a message to her friend. I think I'm finally becoming someone I can be proud of. George, across the office, glanced at her screen. Good, he murmured to himself. Redemption looks better when it's earned, not begged for. The dynamic had shifted completely. She was no longer chasing, he was no longer bitter, and the empire they were building together was unstoppable. Months later, Trendsnap had become a household name on campus and beyond. Investors were knocking on the door, students sought mentorship, and George, he had transformed from a heartbroken teen into a composed, respected leader. Lily had grown alongside him, not as a backup, not as a love interest, but as a competent partner in business. Her confidence returned, grounded in skill and effort rather than charm and manipulation. One afternoon, George walked through the office, observing his team bustling with energy. "Lily," he called, "your campaign analytics are impressive. Looks like you've exceeded expectations." She smiled, her pride quiet but genuine. "Thanks, it feels good to earn it." George nodded, a small smirk on his face. "Exactly, that's what I hoped for." That evening, as the campus skyline glowed golden in the sunset, he reflected. "I didn't just get a second chance with life. I got a chance to become someone worth respecting. And the best part, I did it on my own terms." Meanwhile, Lily packed up her desk for the day, glancing at George. For the first time, she felt respect without longing, admiration without desperation. "He's uncatchable," she whispered, smiling ruefully. And George, unaware, continued planning the next phase of the empire, focused on growth, innovation, and living a life he designed. No chasing, no regrets, just ambition, purpose, and triumph. Years later, George stood in the penthouse office overlooking the city skyline, the empire he had built stretching beyond anything he could have imagined at 19. Trendsnap had grown into a multi-million-dollar company, with George known not only for his business genius, but for his integrity, humility, and vision. Lily, now a senior marketing executive, had found her stride, skilled, confident, and independent. She had applied to George's company years earlier seeking redemption, but now she realized her true success wasn't about winning him back. It was about becoming someone worth respect on her own terms. One morning, she walked into George's office with a project proposal. "George, I think this campaign could triple our engagement," she said confidently. He looked up, smiling. "I trust your judgment, Lily. Let's make it happen." There was no tension, no awkwardness, only mutual respect. No longer obsessed, no longer bitter, their past heartbreak had transformed into a shared growth story. Later that evening, George reflected on his journey. "I was broken once, played for a fool and crushed by heartbreak. But second chances aren't about revenge. They're about creating the life you should have had all along." Meanwhile, Lily sent a quiet message to a friend. "I used to want him to chase me. Now I'm chasing myself, and that feels amazing." George, oblivious to her inner thoughts, raised a glass in his office. To second chances, to ambition, and to becoming so good that no one can ever take your worth away. From heartbreak to triumph, from obsession to respect, George had become the king of his life, and Lily had finally learned the true meaning of redemption. The cherry blossoms outside his window swayed gently in the wind. Life had given them both a second chance, but this time, they chose the paths that truly belonged to them.